our track description. What is this racetrack like? Well, here we go. Mile and a quarter in length, 1 and 2, totally different than 3 and 4. 11 degrees of banking.
It doesn't seem like too much. 2 degrees.
But it's a lot when you're out there, Vince. 3 and 4, only 9 degrees. Of course, we've got these long 1,900-foot straightaways. You got to have some motor and get off these corners.
That's our Gander Outdoors track description. Let's take a look at our race analysis. You see this race is 160 laps. 200 miles. Our stages are broken up into 3, 35 laps for the first stage, 35 for the second, and our final stage is 90 laps. You see our pit window there between 60 and 65 laps. That means we will have a pit stop in that final stage, and Justin Haley went to victory lane here for his first career win last year.
Well, we mentioned that NASCAR elected to practice instead of qualify late this afternoon because we had those morning practices rained out, so our lineup is set on points, owner points we should add, with Christian Eckes in that 51 being on pole, Matt Crafton, Stuart Friesen back in row 2.
A lot of strength up here at the front of the field. There's our last week's winner, Brett Moffitt, along with our second place runner from last week, Ben Rhodes.
And our non-winner from last week, Ross Chastain and Harrison Burton, who's on a great run.
Austin Hill, Myatt Snyder. Good to see Snyder back in that 13 truck. Obviously for reasons that he would, not prefer, but I know he's looking forward to this race tonight.
He's been really doing a nice job over the NASCAR Euro Series this year.
Jordan Anderson, Kyle Benjamin, Gus Dean, Natalie Decker. 32 trucks will line up and run here tonight in the 11th of 16 regular season races. And I'll tell you what, this is big for all of these drivers that are trying to position themselves for a potential spot in the playoffs. If they have not won yet this season, they believe tonight could be their night that would secure that position. Well, let's chat with Ross Chastain after that crazy week that he had last week. Phil, what he's got in mind for tonight as he looks ahead to this one.
Hey, Ross, Phil Parsons and the boys up in the Fox booth. You got a copy?
88 inside, 24 is coming inside.
Got read in here, second gear.
Hey, Ross, Phil Parsons and the boys up in the Fox booth. You got a copy?
Well, they've got that 4-wide alignment that they were doing for the fans, so we'll move on to our onboards and see if that works for us a little bit better, beginning with Jordan Anderson in that 3 truck, Phil.
Yeah, we're going to ride along with Jordan Anderson. This is a Bommarito Motors Chevy. He will be starting from the 17th spot, and he will have our visor cam. We're going to give us some great pictures.
And Grant Enfinger starting second. Grant has been probably one of the most consistent drivers we've had all year. Only one time out of the top 10, finishing up the top 10.
Before we get this thing started, let's hear from a couple of our crew chiefs chatting with our pit reporters. We'll begin with Alan Cavan. Alan.
And I'm down here with Austin Hill's crew chief, Scott Zipadelli. Last week, you guys made headlines for the wrong reasons. What did you tell your driver and your team to focus on this race and forward?
Yeah, last week we put that behind us. We have a lot of respect for Johnny Sauter and everybody at ThorSport. We take responsibility for our part in it, and we've talked about it, and we hope we just go forward and race hard with each other and not have any issues. We're focused today. The Arco National Construction Toyota Tundra, and it's going to be a tough race, but hopefully we get that behind us, get out and lead some laps, and try to get a win here and get back on track.
Austin Hill starts 9th tonight. Hermie?
Well, and Joe Shear Jr. is the crew chief for the 13. You don't have your regular driver, Johnny Sauter, and we had a limited amount of practice today. So what was the biggest challenge trying to get Mike Snyder up to speed in this 13 truck?
Nothing really. We didn't do anything different than what we would have done with Johnny. Same seat, everything, same truck. But he jumped in it right away. He did a good job for us. And it was like I just treated him like Johnny. And we're pretty good, and I feel like we got a good truck tonight.
And these guys are very confident that Mike Snyder can get the job done. He finished 4th here in this race last year.
Well, and Myatt Snyder has run a couple of races for ThorSport this season and was part of the Victory Lane celebration there in the top right. You see Myatt celebrating with Johnny Sauter at Dover. So he's familiar with the workings and the infrastructure at ThorSport, having run a couple of races with him this season and being a part of the team, even though he hasn't always been behind the wheel.
Yeah, and full-time last year. Had some great runs.
Rookie of the year in
Yeah,
the series.
solid runs last year for Myatt. So, yeah, he's no stranger to ThorSport, and they're no stranger to him. So I think it'll be a good combination.
I'm going to tell you, too, that being a team member and not being on a racetrack, that's awful hard to do. So that just tells you Myatt's a good teammate to have and a good person to have on this ThorSport bunch.
Well, we mentioned this is the 11th of 16 races in the regular season. 3 drivers have clinched spots in the playoffs. Johnny Sauter, Brett Moffitt via that victory last week, and Austin Hill, who won the season opener at Daytona. Sauter, as we mentioned, won at Dover. Only 8 drivers make it in. You see Harrison Burton and Todd Gilliland on each side of the cut line, and they're teammates at Kyle Busch Motorsports. Boy, if a Sheldon Creed or a Ross Chastain, a Tyler Dipple, one of those guys happened to win, that would put a couple of KBM trucks on the outside looking in.
Yeah, you definitely want that red line below you, Vince.
Yeah, that's for sure. Worldwide Technology Raceway. Worldwide Technology, a technology solution provider founded and headquartered here in the St. Louis region with their name on this terrific facility. Always enjoy coming here to race, and it's going to be a fun one tonight. We can just about guarantee it. Always is when we come here. Christian Eckes on the outside, Grant Enfinger inside, and we're racing at Gateway. Enfinger slipping a bit, but still securing that first spot from Eckes, and Crafton now comes side by side for second.
One thing to remember, there's been some traction compound put down on this racetrack. It was all the way from the bottom to the top, they said, down in this end. Actually, not at the very, very bottom, but definitely from the second lane up, down in 1 and 2. A lot of grip up there.
Remember, the ARCA race was on track just before this race began, a different type of rubber compound on those tires, and see if that has any impact on this one at all, as well as you see Crafton on the inside slipping back a bit as he now runs in the 5th spot.
Yeah, Moffitt, the 24, is going to try to take advantage of that slip and move by him on the outside. It's going to bring Harrison Burton, that 18 truck, with him.
Down here on the bottom where there is no traction compound, you can see Matt tried to throttle up, spun them rear tires. It's going to be interesting to see if they can get that bottom groove worked in and get some grip down there.
Stuart Friesen and Grant Enfinger. Friesen to the front.
Talking to garage area was how good Stuart was in practice. Everybody thought he had one of the best trucks on the long run for sure.
Friesen out front, 417 laps this season, and there's a caution on the track. You saw the yellow lights flashing on the fence, alerting the drivers that there is caution. We're talking about Friesen leading so many laps this season as the 0 of Greg Rail has gotten into the wall. Friesen has led more laps in his career than any driver who has not won. I mean, this guy's number is got to come up sometime, doesn't it?
It's 400 some laps he's led, Vince.
He's figured that part out.
Well, it's not going to be Greg Rail tonight. He brings out the first caution.
Welcome back to the gateway to the West.
It's a very challenging racetrack, even though it's 1.25 miles in length and considered a super speedway. The race is just like a short track.
Oh, goodbye.
The caution is out. A lot of damage.
Caution. 2 trucks around.
Oh, they're going at it. This is going to be good here. And there's points for a takedown.
Who will win under the arch?
Back here at Gateway, and an early caution for Greg Rail, who got into the wall, had to take it to pit lane. Let's take a quick check-in on our top 2 runners, beginning with Allen.
And Vince Stewart Friesen picking up right where he left off at the end of practice. It was at the end of that only practice today that he set the fastest lap out of anybody in the field, and you could see he went right to the lead at the beginning of this race. What we didn't see out of the 52 in practice was a long run, so we'll keep an eye on how that truck changes as this race goes on, Hermie.
Well, Alan, it's a good news, bad news situation for the 98 of Grant Infinger. The good news, they had a vibration towards the end of practice, and they have made some changes. They went through the drivetrain of that truck, and Grant reports all that is good to go. The bad news, the struggle point of the racetrack, you heard Todd mention it in the pre-race, turns 3 and 4. It's a flat, long, sweeping corner. They have been way too tight during practice, and he reports that truck is still too tight in 3 and 4. We'll see if he can hold them off until they get a chance to come down pit road and make that better.
Well, the last thing you want is a problem late in practice that really gets you concerned about how that's going to handle in the race.
Yeah, without a doubt. There's Brett Moffitt right now, Kurtning holding down the 5th spot. But this is really where his season turned around last year, Vince.
He won at Iowa and last year, and that, as you said, Phil, kind of jump-started his season, including that Iowa win in 2018. 5 wins from that point, including, of course, the season finale at Homestead to claim the championship.
Yeah, and almost 4 times the laps led. So,
so are you saying that win last week at Iowa might be?
Plus that $250,000 out dangling out there for him.
But this is a different year now. He's with a different race team, so let's just see how that plays out.
Well, they desperately want what they call a real win because they're racers. They know that one last week was gifted to them, but they're still going to take it. But they want to earn it, and they've got a truck capable of doing just that tonight. Well, after the early caution, about ready to go back green here was Stewart Friesen, the control vehicle on the outside, and Grant Infinger inside.
Much cleaner start right here, Phil. We noticed on the very first start of the race, a lot of guys spinning their tires. I didn't see anybody spinning tires there. Got a little heat in them, a little grip in them.
You saw Friesen with his right sides up in that traction compound, got a good bite off that second corner.
And
Rhodes
out. Dive into the bottom for second place on his teammate Infinger. By the way, you're missing the scoring pylon on the left-hand side of the screen, having some technology problems with the scoring and timing. So as soon as we get that sorted out, the scoring pylon will return. We miss it as well. I know you do also.
See the KBM teammates running nose to tail. That's the 51 of Christian Eckes. Christian just got through finishing second in the ARCA Menards race just a few moments ago, driving Rudy Fugel's number 51 truck, now side by side with Ben Rhodes in the 99.
Eckes has already run one race this season, started at Gateway, and he'll also have Pocono, Michigan, Vegas, Martinsville, and Homestead on his schedule for Kyle Busch Motorsports this season.
Harrison Burton, his teammate, ducked in behind him in the 18 truck, and there's Myatt Snyder, that 13 truck, trying to take a look at Harrison Burton.
The 45 of Chastain. Boy, how big it would be for Ross Chastain and that Nice Motorsports team if they could come back and put it in victory lane again tonight after having their heart broken a week ago at Iowa.
They really made me a believer last week, Vince. I knew it was a pretty tall task when they said Ross is going to transfer over to the Truck Series and go for the championship. I said, well, he's going to have to win another race. And, you know, boy, they sure got it done, obviously, with some issues last week, but they made me a believer.
This is the same truck and the same motor that he won with last week, so they got a good bullet in the gun here. We can see if they get it done tonight.
Well, of course, won at Kansas, but at that time had pledged himself to the Xfinity Series championship. Later decided he was going to run for points and the points title in the Truck Series, switched over, and then if by chance you missed it last week, after winning at Iowa, his truck was deemed too low in post-race inspection, and that win was taken away as his truck was disqualified, and he was put in the last place position.
For maybe some of our new viewers, if you win in the regular season the first 16 races of the year, then you're automatically qualified for the playoffs. He will have to do that in these next 6 races in order to qualify for the playoffs, as well as finish in the top 20 in points, which that's not going to be an issue for him, I don't think.
On board with Jordan Anderson.
What a great view from this visor cam. Pretty smooth on the steering wheel for Jordan.
You hear how early he tried to get back to that throttle, Phil, but you can see the truck is a little tight right now. Pushing off the corner, couldn't get to it. Really hard to get down that straightaway.
Look at the speeds, over 160 miles an hour as he gets down in this corner. Hard on the brakes, down to about 100 miles an hour. Jordan is not one of the guys that's electing to shift right here. He would have went to 3rd gear there. He's going to keep it in high gear.
Jordan Anderson, one of those small teams, drives his own truck to the track a lot of times, and not this particular truck, but the hauler that houses his trucks. And he is a small group of people. They are dedicated, committed racers, and just to get on the racetrack is a challenge sometimes for this group, but they have done a nice job. 4 straight inside, well inside the top 20.
We saw Chandler Smith in the KBM 46 getting under Jordan there, getting a position.
Yeah, Chandler had to start back because that truck does not run full-time. Remember, we started this race by owner points. The 46 truck has very few owner points, so that's why he started so far back.
I'll tell you what, Phil, looks like the guys in the garage area are right. That 52 was checking out here on Grant Enfinger.
Side by side is Ross Chastain and Myatt Snyder. Chastain there in the 45, Snyder in the 13, and Chastain will get that position, and Matt Crafton right there to take advantage as well. Snyder had to get out of the gas a little bit. When you do, it makes you a victim.
It takes all the momentum away, and that's the big thing about gateways. You've got to get that run up off the corner and keep that momentum going, or that's exactly what's going to happen.
Good battle between Sheldon Creed, the 2 truck, and the 18 of Harrison Burton.
A couple of good youngsters. Creed, the Argo champion last year, and Creed has to hang on to it. Great save from Sheldon Creed. Wow.
That was very nice save out of the young man. That's tough to do when you get down in the middle of that corner. That thing gets that sideways.
And we talked about letting out of the gas and how it makes you a victim. Right there is Matt Crafton to take advantage.
See how low he goes down. Does he get his left sides on the rumble strip? He does a little bit, and that sends the rear end of that truck around, and what a great save.
Maybe just a little bit of contact with that left rear of Harrison Burton as well. But Creed has gathered it back up, and you see approaching the halfway point here in stage 1. The first 2 stages, 35 laps each, and then the final stage will be 90 laps, and there's our race leader, Stuart Friesen. So Phil, you, from a strategy perspective, you see these guys stopping at the end of the first stage, into the second stage, and then somewhere in that final stage?
I do. Most of the crew chiefs said they thought they would stop at the end of the first stage, put 2 tires on, then go to the end of the second stage, put 4 tires on. That leaves them 1 set of tires in the pits. And I think once they get in their window, again, their pit window, somewhere around 60 laps, maybe a couple more than that. Once they get to 60 laps to go, and if the caution were to come out, I think you'll see them all come to pit road. Not save that set of tires for 10 or 20 laps to go.
One big difference I'm noticing here is Stewart has all 4 tires up in that traction compound, and a lot of these guys are still, especially in 3 and 4, they're trying to run the bottom of the racetrack. And I don't think there's quite the grip down there that there is up in that compound. We'll see if these guys figure that out.
If I'm on this racetrack right now and I'm not Stuart Friesen, I'm going to ask my spotter, tell me where that 52 truck is running. Where is he getting all this time? And Todd, you're exactly right. He's running higher than I think anybody else here.
And we'll watch right behind him here. We see Grant Enfinger definitely a lot lower. A lot of grip in that traction compound, especially when these tires get hot. Get a little goo on them, they stick a whole lot better.
Grant Enfinger now is close enough to Stuart Friesen to see where he's running. He went in and through the center of the corner, then he turned underneath that traction compound on exit.
If your truck turns through the center a lot better, you can make that turn and get good drive up off the corner.
The 51 of Eckes currently running fourth. Alan?
And crew chief Rudy Fugel and his whole crew, they were confident about this truck in that one practice. They were one of the few trucks to make a long run to see how it was over the course of an entire run. And they were trying things like shifting for a lap and then not shifting for a lap to see what gave them better drive off the corner. You can see his teammate Harrison Burton trying to get him right now. Christian Eckes there in the 51. The 18 of Harrison Burton, they've been complaining about being too tight. Looks like they're running real good right now, guys.
Well, that 51 truck last week had Chandler Smith behind the wheel, and he made his first career start at just 16 years old, and it was a pretty impressive debut. He finished 8th, led 55 laps.
Remember, Christian Eckes ran the 46 truck, the 4th truck out of KBM. Chandler Smith is driving that truck here this week and really had the best truck last year. Got taken out in an accident. He and Stuart Friesen got together, but I think he might have won this race.
For the lead, Infinger got a run on Friesen, and he is going to secure the spot. So Grant Infinger to the front. Great run from the 98. And made that pass, and now Infinger trying to navigate through some of this lap traffic, and that lap traffic's going to be an issue. There's a big difference between the fast trucks and the slow trucks, and you see it quickly here at Gateway.
Well, we got 22 laps down in this green flag run here, and everything's changing on them.
Coming up on the end of stage 1 from Gateway.
Started out a touch tight the first couple laps, then it went. Hold on.
We're having fun tonight here at Gateway, but tomorrow from Northern California on the road course, a little different kind of animal in Sonoma. Going to be fun. Begins with race day, 2 o'clock Eastern. The race begins just after 3 o'clock Eastern. That's noon Pacific. Well, and how about that qualifying today? Exciting stuff. Kyle Larson on pole at Sonoma for the 3rd straight year.
How about William Byron, his 7th front row this season in 16 races?
Doing a great job. Not going to be long. He's going to be in victory lane.
Absolutely, for sure.
Absolutely. A couple of guys that would like to get in victory lane this week, and many others, believe me, as they scratch and claw trying to get to the front. Well, Ben Rhodes having a solid run as usual, Hermie.
Yeah, Vince, right now he's stabilized right in the third position, but his race truck is tight right here through the center. You'll probably see the 18 right there. Close the gap, tight in the center, but that causes him to get loose on exit. So they got a little bit of a balance problem to work on on the 99 when they come down pit road. 3 second-place finishes this year, Vince. They're ready to put that behind them and go to victory lane.
Yeah, Matt Noyce doing a great job with that 99, and Ben is taking care of business behind the wheel. But I think of the 2 trucks we're looking at right there, the 18 is the better one. We'll see if he's able to get around him. Harrison Burton's done a nice job the last few weeks also.
He sure has. What a great weekend he had in Iowa, both the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series. Top 10s, started in the top 10 both races, ran in the top 10 both the first and the second stage in both series, and had top 5 finishes in both. What a great weekend for Harrison Burton.
5 laps remaining in this initial stage.
Looks like he's got another great truck tonight. You know, he ran Ben down, drove away from his teammate. Doing a great job.
Track position so important, and we heard so many of the crew chiefs today talk about the fact that they've got to stay on top of their game, not just on track and in the adjustments of the truck, but also on pit road. You don't want to be losing spots, and we're about to have that first pit stop of the day coming up here in less than 4 laps at the end of stage 1. But track position is so important. You've got to take advantage of every spot you can get.
That was certainly a common theme among the crew chiefs, was track position. What's important here? Track position.
Rhodes 3rd, Burton 4th. Harrison Burton, another one of those young drivers, just graduated high school this spring, looking for his first win of the season, and with back-to-back top 5s, the feeling that they've really started to hit their stride over there with a guy you're familiar with, Onion, Mike Hillman Jr., the crew chief of the 18.
Yeah, I'm just a little partial to the 18 right now. Harrison doing a great job here. I tell you what, Junior's got this truck really rolling the center of the corner. You watch him behind Ben, and when you understand the aerodynamics of these trucks, you get up tight on these guys, they're going to push really bad. Well, Harrison isn't. He's staying with them and actually rolling the center of the corner a little bit better than Ben. So if Ben slips up, I think Harrison can get by him. But 3 laps to go, he might be just settled in right here and take what he's got.
Pit lane closed now in these final 2 laps of stage 1. Grant Enfinger continues to lead the way by just a little over a second.
There has not been a lot of give up in these tires, and that's what we saw in practice too, that one abbreviated practice session we got. Christian Eckes made a 10-lap run, and his last lap was with about a 0.5 of a second of what his fastest lap was. So I think you'll see a lot of 2 tires on this stop right here, guys.
1 lap remaining here in stage 1. Nice little battle for 5th, and how about Crafton getting into the back end of Ross Chastain. I think Chastain moved down low just when Crafton was about to make his move.
There's some damage on the back of that 80, on the front of that 88 truck. Look at the hood right there, and that opens the door for Sheldon Creed.
Creed trying to take 7th from Crafton.
You know, Phil, we've seen.
And the 1 of Cody McMahon has suffered damage. And meanwhile, Grant Enfinger comes around to take the stage, his 2nd stage win of 2019. So Enfinger, who also won this same stage a year ago, takes advantage of a fast race truck, past Stuart Friesen for the lead, and then led 16 laps to the finish of stage 1. And there's that contact.
That was close to a bad situation there. Ross went down the block. Matt had a head of steam, and he couldn't really stand on the brakes to stop, and about turned him around.
Pit stops coming your way when we come back. Grant Enfinger wins stage 1 at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Or very little, just to help to point it, but it might be a little too free if we do that. But whatever you want to do.
Well, I know what we're going to do is going to tighten it up a little bit.
Okay, 10-4, other side. All right.
We definitely helped it. I mean, they took off there to start with, but obviously we drove back up there. I guess you and the 52 right now are the two best trucks.
Pit 4. You know, you got way ahead of time here, Jeff, for me to make it down pit road, so I'm assuming we're coming regardless.
10-4, when pit road's open, we're coming. Somebody's mic keeps coming open.
"35 laps in stage one. Stuart Friesen led 19. Grant Enfinger led 16, including the final lap as Enfinger scores the stage one win. You see the point breakout for stage one. Friesen and Rhodes very solid. We talked about Friesen leading those 19 laps, but I was equally impressed with Ben Rhodes, even though he didn't lead any. But it was clear that he has a good race truck as well.
I think we talk about the track position. That's why what makes me think these guys are going to go with 2 tires. Now, we may have an outlier here that may take 4, but I think to keep that track position, I think we want to go with 2 tires here.
I think the only way you take 4, Phil, if your truck is really not handling, you need to make a big adjustment, tire pressure, along with some track bar or wedge, something. You need a big adjustment. So you really take 4.
See the long line that will be making its way down pit road, led by the race leader, Grant Enfinger. Our Hermie Sadler and Alan Cavana downstairs waiting on him. The first to hit the box will be the 99 of Ben Rhodes.
Well, Vince, the 99, the last 10 laps of that run was just as good as Enfinger and Friesen. They'd either roll the center of the corner a little bit better. They're going to put 2 right side tires and make an air pressure adjustment to the right front. The 98 of Enfinger, they like their truck as well. A little bit tight, however. They will make an adjustment. It'll be 2 right side tires for the 98, Alan.
52 on the bottom of your screen. They loved how they fired off, but they didn't have good speed on the long run. That's what they are making an adjustment for. 4 tires. They're going down on air pressure in all 4 tires to help with the long run.
Enfinger, first one off pit road, followed by his teammate Ben Rhodes.
Boy, what a narrow pit road here.
It was close back there. Crafton pulled out in front of those 2, Sheldon Creedon and Maya Snyder.
We saw a little differing strategy from the 3 we had in the box there, with Enfinger and Rhodes each electing 2 tires, while the 52 of Friesen went with 4. As you see, that's why he lost so many spots on pit road.
Yeah, we'll see if those 4 tires are better for when we get restarted. Let's see if we can talk to Grant Enfinger, our stage 1 winner. Hey, Grant Enfinger, Phil Parsons and the boys in the Fox booth. You got a copy?
I got you, Phil. Don't give me any bad news this time, okay?
You give him bad news one time,
I'm sorry
Phil,
about that. With one time I give you bad news and you can hold it against me. But hey, great race truck, Jeff, and the guys have you really tuned up here. They really look strong in that first stage.
Yeah, it's a little reminiscent of last year. We kind of struggled in practice, but the Champion Power Equipment F-150 is really good tonight. So definitely this clean air and good air has helped us. But I feel like we got something that can contend tonight for a win.
Well, the pit crew got you out front here. Keep that clean air, bud.
That's right, pit crew's been doing great all year. So thank you for everybody keeping tuning in this late night.
Thank you, bud.
Yeah, good stuff. Texas, Infinger won a stage and then was penalized on pit road. Phil delivered him the bad news. Thankfully, that didn't happen today.
These guys are lap down.
10-4, yes.
Only one took forward is the 52. He's in ninth. We'll just monitor and see how he makes it back up.
Getting ready to go green on stage 2 here at Gateway as we take a look at the Xfinity fastest pit stops from those previous services.
Yeah, nice work by the ThorSport guys. Grand Infinger, Ben Rhodes, the 2 fastest pit stops, and they're going to restart on the front row.
It's the best place to be.
Going to be interested to see. Now, right now, Stuart Friesen is the highest running truck that took 4 tires on that pit stop. Obviously, he had a fast truck. He had the fastest truck during the first stage. Let's see how long it takes him to drive through these guys.
As good as his truck was, I'm a little surprised that Tripp did that, but we'll see how this works out for him.
So a couple of ThorSport teammates on the front row here with Infinger and Rhodes. Infinger on the outside with his ThorSport teammate Matt Crafton right behind him. Green in stage 2. truck. Got 4 ThorSport trucks in the top 5.
Old Duke is smiling right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, ThorSport has been so strong all season long, as you see Crafton and Rhodes dueling for second.
Yeah, all 4 of the ThorSport trucks have been to the top 10 at the end of the race several times this year. Myatt, one of the races he ran was Martinsville, and they had all 5 trucks in the top 10.
Snyder ran 6th at Martinsville. That's along with Daytona, the 2 truck races he has run this season. As you see what the ThorSport gang is doing right now, can't get any better than that. 1 through 4.
Here comes Sheldon Creed, though, moves to the inside of Ben Rhodes. Christian Eckes has already taken over the 4th spot. Now Sheldon Creed grabs that 5th spot.
Stuart Friesen and those 4 tires starting to work his way up.
How about a call for that 46 truck too, Chandler Smith? Remember, he started way back, what, about the 25th spot? Already up, backing up into the top 10. He drove up into the top 15 during that first stage.
Hey, Phil, I got a chance to talk to Marcus Richmond today about Chandler Smith in the 46 truck. First time he's worked with him, but he told me a couple weeks ago, before they went to Iowa, that he actually got a chance to work with him at the simulator, and he learned a lot about him then and kind of what his tendencies were. He said today has been great, all that he had limited practice, got right in the truck, was up to speed, first time on the racetrack, and he described his approach as very simple and very deliberate to how he drives and the feedback he gives. So working with another crew chief, but another one that is very impressed already with Chandler Smith.
Yeah, Hermie had a solid run last week too, led a bunch of that race, had some issues. He had a bad radio. They had to change a radio. That put him to the back, and then he sped on his final pit stop, and he still recovered to finish 8th. So very, very fast, quick learner there, Chandler Smith.
And there's Smith in the 46 working on Friesen for 7th. Smith will also run Bristol and ISM later this season. As Matt Crafton continues to run 2nd, followed by his teammate Myatt Snyder. And there's the 2 of Sheldon Creed poking his nose inside the 51 of Eckes.
Remember, you mentioned there were no previous winners here in this race, Spence. Well, he won the ARCA Menards race here last year. But guys, look at the back of that 50 truck. I did not notice that damage until prior to this last restart. Let's take a look. Now look inside. Do you see the blue truck inside? That's Harrison Burton right behind him. See, Harrison's going to run into the back of him. Brett Moffitt does a nice job avoiding Harrison Burton, and that's why the 22 of Austin Wayne Self pulled to the inside. It was either that or run into the back of somebody.
Remember, Friesen came to pit road as one of those in front, one of the front runners, as you see that battle for 2nd between teammates Snyder and Crafton. Mike Snyder making his presence felt right away tonight, huh?
He's showing everybody. He deserves to be in this 13 and sub for Johnny. He's doing a great job.
Joe Shear told us before the race there was no difference. He treated him just like Johnny, and he's racing just like Johnny. This is probably Johnny Sauter's best racetrack. He's never finished worse than 4th in all the times he's been to this racetrack.
Friesen and Smith for 7th. And that's Todd Gilliland right behind the 2.
First time tonight that we've seen Todd up in the mix of this thing.
And Gilliland, yeah, coming right around the 46.
Right around the outside of his teammate.
Yeah, I think Todd finished just outside the top 10 at the end of stage 1, but looks like they've made some adjustments. Again, new crew chief this week, Michael Shelton, working with Todd.
Eckes and Creed, a couple of good young racers there, 4th and 5th. Eckes just 18 years old. That 51 truck won the Snowball Derby as a 15-year-old back in 2016. A highly touted late model race, a burst onto the scene. But nobody's catching that truck. It's a wide open view for the leader, Grant Enfinger.
He's all the way at the bottom. He's about just a couple foot shorter, narrower than you there towards the bottom. Still clear by 3. Pretty much in your tire tracks off the corner. Still by 1 out back. He's a half a car width lower than you at that end as well. Still clear by 2. Nice and smooth. Clear by 2. Clear by 1. Still clear by half. He's a half a lane higher that time. To his 60, 15 laps to go in the stage, bud. Keep doing what you're doing there. You pull him off the corner, both ends, clear by 3. One back to him now. Half back. He's out of line now. Back in line with you. Still by half.
Inside the workspace with our race leader, Grant Enfinger. He has been out front for 35 laps tonight. Won stage 1. And while it's pretty clear in front of him, as he's the race leader, it has been busy behind him. Battle for second there with Crafton and Snyder.
You see that little burst he got off of turn number 2. You see him shifting inside of that truck. That's what that's for, is to get you from the center of turns 1 and 2 up off the corner. Myatt closes right up over here in 3 and 4.
Myatt has definitely got a better truck right now. He's rolling the center of the corner a whole lot better than Grant. See that rolling right there. Grant, the thing that I don't like about the shifter, Phil, it does take time that the motor is not pulling the truck. So there's a trade-off that you take there when you do it.
I like how he's doing it, though. He waits till it's about time to get back in the throttle as we continue to see this battle for 4th. Sheldon Creed drives up underneath the 51 of Sheldon Creed. Is he going to have room? Nope. He had to tuck in behind the 51 of Christian Eckes.
Jennifer Jo Cobb there in the 10. You know, rarely are you ever out of traffic here at Gateway, even if you're the leader, as we see Grant Enfinger lead the way. And even the leader is around lap cars or lap trucks much of the time, so rarely is it just clear sailing in front of you.
So Myatt catch a bad break as he exited turn number 2. He couldn't move all the way out to the outside wall. He had the lap truck of Daniel Sasnet on his outside. That cost him probably 3 or 4 truck lengths.
You need to use all of that racetrack off of turn 2 up to that wall to keep that momentum up. I'm going to bet a little bit of money here that it won't be long. He's going to be back on his bumper. Myatt's been consistently faster the last 10, 15 laps.
Brett Moffitt trying to get his way up through some of that traffic right now, rides 14th, Alan.
Yeah, not a great night down there in 14th. The team down here in the pits are trying to diagnose the problem. They just don't have the power that they need right now. He says he's getting killed down the straightaway. He can't make any passes and he's just losing that top end. They're even contemplating changing the ECU unit out of the truck to find the problem and solve the problem and get more power out of that truck. They're trying to do it on this next pit stop, Phil.
Yeah, it's really tough because, again, every one of these race vehicles pretty much has the same engine. It's an Elmore engine. It's called the NT1, built by Elmore. So he knows that if he's not being able to keep up with other trucks, there's something wrong. They've had a number of issues with plug wires this year, but that would be more of a 7-cylinder situation where he wouldn't even be able to keep up as well as he is right now.
That's got to be disappointing for not just Moffitt, but crew chief Jerry Baxter, because in fact, we talked to him just a little bit before the race, and they were very optimistic about their truck. Brett really liked it in practice, but it's not working up to full song right now.
We noticed him losing a truck length right there, and it looked like he was in the throttle before the 17 of Anthony Alfredo, but yet lost some ground down the second half of the straightaway.
Exactly, Phil. He's way better than Anthony through the corner, and look at him, Anthony just pull away from him on straightaway. That is frustrating as a driver when your truck is that good in the corner and you have a motor problem.
Yeah, I think without a doubt there's some sort of an issue, and maybe they might have to run it out to the end of this second stage to try to diagnose that problem. The Elmore officials can jump over the wall, and they can, if they have a bad plug wire, they can diagnose that fairly quickly and make those changes.
Less than 10 to go here in stage 2.
These ECUs are essentially just a computer. We know how much computers can fail and things can go wrong. Obviously, it's something like that.
Lap 63 here at Gateway, and the teams on pit road honoring Mike Mittler. We saw Mike's wife, Bev, give the command before the race today, along with the Mittler Brothers organization. And the team members all up and down pit road, standing on the wall and saluting on lap 63, which is the Mittler Brothers number, and honoring Mike Mittler, who passed away May 10th. Such an integral part of this sport, particularly this series. He gave so many drivers an opportunity, their first opportunity in many instances. Guys like Brad Keselowski, Carl Edwards, our own Jamie McMurray, Regan Smith.
Yeah, a lot of drivers can owe their careers to some extent to Mike Mittler, and it certainly is a huge loss here for our sport.
When I first came into the Truck Series, I came from the Cup Series down to the Truck Series, and Mike was one of the first guys to come over and welcome me down and having fun in the trucks, and what a great guy.
Well, this is such a special race for him and that organization. They're just from across the state line, across the river, as Myatt Snyder continues to pressure Grant Enfinger for the lead. 5 laps remaining in stage 2. Enfinger was the stage 1 winner, and remember, Snyder is subbing for the suspended Johnny Sauter.
You can see Myatt, he's trying every corner to figure out how he can set Grant up. Trying to get a run off the corner. Here he goes up high and tries to turn it, get back to the throttle. That's a great run off the corner. Got a little too good a run. That rear tires wouldn't take it.
A little bit sideways off of turn 2.
I got to imagine there's got to be a little bit of rust for Myatt Snyder as well. It hasn't raced the truck in a while, and certainly the truck's different than just about any other thing that you might race, any other type of vehicle. So,
yeah, but you know what, Vince, you might have a little rust you got to knock off the first 10, 15 laps of practice, but once you get running around there, you knock that rust off and get into racing.
I would agree with that for a veteran guy, but I mean, it's not like Snyder's got that much experience.
I was going to say, how many years did Greg Biffle sit out before he went to Texas?
Well, Myatt definitely knocked the rust off because he's doing a great job right here. And 3 laps to go in this stage. We'll see if he can get that stage point for the 13.
And a good racetrack for him, too. He finished 4th in this race last year.
He's lurking, just 2 laps remaining in stage 2. Pits are closed as Enfinger tries to hold off his teammate Myatt Snyder.
Myatt's really moved up to that traction compound. He's running higher now than just about anybody on the racetrack.
Yeah, Phil, I think he tried to go up there and get the truck turned and try to get that run like we saw that last time by, but a little too high that time.
Enfinger has led all the laps here in stage 2. Only 2 leaders tonight. Stuart Friesen has led 20, and Enfinger has led the rest. Final lap now in stage 2. Enfinger still seeking that first win of the season, even though he has the best average finish of all the drivers and has scored more points than any of the drivers in the series. He still hasn't gotten that first win yet this season. But he's taken care of business so far. 2 stages and 2 stage wins for the 98 Grant Enfinger. Some good battles back in the pack as everyone tries to secure at least a point in those stage offerings, and Austin Hill gets the final point in stage 2.
I'll run the radiator fan, that takes downforce away from you.
10-4.
Put under caution. Where we need it.
Yeah, entry was real good, and I kind of figured out a little bit better way to do it. So, yeah, right front's pretty sporty.
Okay, 10-4, buddy. I was talking to our tire guy, though.
Not 10-4.
Concentrate on hitting your marks in the pit stops, and we'll try to get you out front here.
10-4.
You're right.
Yeah, I got you.
Pit road will be
10-4.
It's been Grant Enfinger's night. 2 stages, 2 stage wins. His teammate Ben Rhodes right there. Christian Eckes doing a nice job tonight as well. Stuart Friesen, the only other leader this evening besides Grant Enfinger, and been impressed with what Myatt Snyder has done tonight as well. Myatt finished second there in stage 2, subbing for Johnny Sauter, doing a great job. He and the combination of that Thor Sport team along with crew chief Joe Shear. And he's heading your way, Hermie.
Vince, this truck needs to be a little bit tighter down to the center of the corner, especially under braking. That'll be what they work on for the 13 to try to help him a little bit. 2 tires, looks like 4 tires for the 13. The 98 of Grant Enfinger, his truck is tight, center exit. They go with their original plan of 4 tires for Grant Enfinger. Alan.
Matt Crafton on the bottom of your screen. He had a great stage, but he says on a 10 scale, he is a 5 loose. So they need an adjustment there to fix that truck. He took 2 tires last time, 4 tires this time for the 88.
Yeah, this is the opportunity for those guys that took 4 tires on that at the end of stage 1 to take 2 tires now, and you see them make their way towards the front.
The 51 of Eckes took just 2, and he was the first one off pit road after the 4 the first time.
Let's see if we can chat with our second place runner there in stage 2. Hey, Myatt Snyder, Phil Parsons, and the boys up in the Fox booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got y'all loud and clear.
Mott, you've given that truck a super ride. We talked to Joe Shear before the race, and he said, hey, I just treated him like it was Johnny Sauter. He fit in his seat, and he got the same kind of feedback, and you're giving that truck a whale of a ride. Good job, buddy.
Hey, thank you guys. Yeah, we got a really great 10 to Ford F-150, so just really thankful for the guys from ThorSport for providing me such a great piece. You know, it's a little bit of a nostalgia for me because I'm working with most of the guys I had last year, plus Joe Shear, so that's a pretty cool experience for me. So we'll see if we can get this thing to the front, but for now we got a really good Ford Performance truck.
You're doing a super job finishing off, bud.
Yes, sir, will do. Thank you.
We'll see what the final stage holds. 2 tires or 4.
Work those tires there, buddy. Work those tires. Oh, buddy, we'll pace ourselves here in this run. This is the long run.
Yes, sir, 10-4.
Truck in the wall. Caution is out again.
Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway, getting ready for the final stage. A couple of Kyle Busch Motorsports trucks will start on the front row in this final stage. Most teams have elected for 2 or 4 on the first stop and then gone the opposite direction on the second stop. Not the 51 of Eckes. He took 2 tires on both stops.
I like that strategy too, because we saw Stuart Friesen put 4 tires on that first stop, and he really didn't go anywhere. He restarted the race 9th, and I think he finished 8th in that second stage. I really like this call. I think it was a game time decision. I think originally they planned on going 2, 4, and 2, but he saw how important track position was, and he's going to see what happens here.
Well, and the right side's only had 22 laps on him, Phil, so that's not a lot of laps.
Yeah, by the time we started the second stage, we were already into lap 38.
Yeah, he took rights on the first stop, lefts on this most recent stop, and now the final stage is underway, and the 18-year-old Christian Eckes out front with those 2 tires. Look at Chastain trying to make it 3 wide in the middle while Burton and Gilliland get together.
He's going to make it work. Slides right up in front of the 4 of Gilliland.
Todd Gilliland giving Ross Chastain a shove.
Ross took advantage of those guys side by side. Harrison got a little loose under his teammate, and Ross took advantage of it.
That was a good restart by Gilliland. 24 of Moffitt. We talked earlier in that second stage, seemed like he was having some power issues. Back there in 9th, we'll keep an eye on that and further updates from pit road when necessary.
Well, there's a swarm of trouble. Caution flag is out.
And that's the 54 of Natalie Decker.
Well, you got to feel for this young lady. She's had a lot of bad luck and a big learning curve, and
she was running in the 17th position. We'll see if we have any replays back there to see what may have happened, whether she had any contact. And we saw a big swarm of trucks racing for a second on back, so I'm sure she was more than likely in some heavy traffic.
Like trying to squeeze yourself onto the one lane of the interstate when all the traffic's merging. Sometimes there's just not room.
Sometimes
there's just not room, and you get squeezed out.
Run in from behind, you got nothing to do about it.
Sometimes you have 2 interstates merging, you know, in the speed disparity and stuff. So it's tough out there.
And there's the damage on that 54 truck. And Todd, you made the comment. It's been a tough go for Natalie Decker. And at what point is it so discouraging that maybe you take a step back, or do you stay in it and continue week after week?
You know, Vince, that's a tough call. You know, she's done very well in the other series that she's raced. She's had some success, not great success, but she's done okay. So you think, okay, I want to move up. I want to try to move up the ranks, try to myself here in this truck series. And these trucks are just so different than cars. They really are. We talk about it all the time. The aerodynamics, the amount of side force these things have. If you're just not used to it, it can get you in trouble. Even at a place like St. Louis here. I mean, you're going 150 mile an hour in the corner. It's easy to get sucked around. It's easy to push behind somebody. I mean, it's hard to say what happened. We'll see here.
The upper right portion of your screen, and you'll see the 97 and 22 and
I think
the
Jesse
54
Little,
all there together. I think Little was further back.
Yes. Yeah, he might have been a victim of circumstances, but it looked like maybe the 22 was in proximity of the 54 of Natalie Decker.
And Natalie looked a little ginger as she was helped to the ambulance, so we'll keep an eye on that situation and update it. you've been following the World Cup, wow, it has been exciting, and the United States will be back at it on Monday. But first, a couple of matches, England and Cameroon, France and Brazil. The American fans will be paying attention to that one because the winner will take on the U.S. next, with Germany a winner earlier today and Norway victorious over Australia. See the Women's World Cup on all the Fox platforms as the 54 of Natalie Decker's truck is removed, and Ross Chastain. Let's check in on his evening so far with Hermie.
Well, they're in position again, Vince, and it's Phil Gould on top of the pit box. If any team understands the highs and lows of big-time NASCAR racing, it's been your team, but yet you guys are back in position again. Can you win this race?
I think we can, but everything's got to go right. I'd love to get 4 tires there to be in a better position for the end, but we're stuck back there in traffic. Can't go nowhere. We had to do something different.
How about this shop, this week in the shop? You're a veteran, been around a long time. What was your role in kind of getting this team back on track and focused to come to this race?
Well, I didn't have to do much. This group right here, they're a tough bunch, and they've been more determined than ever. It's been pretty cool to be a part of. Hopefully this just poured gas on the fire.
There we go. Ross Chastain, second right now, Vince.
Well, and of course, 1 week ago, Chastain took the checkered flag first at Iowa, thought he had won the race and secured his spot in the playoffs, but then his truck did not pass post-race inspection, was too low in the front end, and his truck was disqualified. But what a great move Chastain made last week to win stage 1, going 3 wide for that stage victory.
What a great battle that was. There he is taking the white flag with 1 lap to go as he goes on the victory lane.
And it was an emotional victory lane because they needed a win to secure that spot. And of course, the Chastain family, part of the watermelon industry. So he always
little Gallagher. Remember
uniquely.
Gallagher, the comedian? He smashed watermelons.
We also cleaned off that too with a water hose. He cleaned off the victory lane from where he smashed the watermelon.
And Brett Moffitt inherited that win when Chastain was DQ'd last week. But how about tonight for the 24, Alan?
Well, he's back up tonight after he came in for that 4-tire pit stop. Remember, I told you about they were having power issues. They were worried it was something really bad, that they were going to have to come in and change that EC unit. Todd called it like a little computer in there. But we've all got computers at home, and sometimes to fix the problem, we just have to turn it off and turn it on. And that's what Brett Moffitt did out there on the track, resetting that entire unit. And it seems like everything is working again. The truck is setting fast laps. They just need a little track position right now.
Yeah, we've seen that several times this year, Phil. Just cycle in that computer, turn it off for 2, 3, 4 seconds, turn it back on, and it comes back to life.
Yeah, and ECU stands for Engine Control Unit.
And remember, this is the final race of the Triple Truck Challenge, so the driver that wins this race gets a $50,000 bonus courtesy of Gander Outdoors. And if it happens to be Moffitt, well, that's additional money. He would get an additional $50,000 on top of the $50,000. It just keeps multiplying.
It's worth $250,000 for Brett Moffitt to win this race tonight.
Because then the team would be granted another $150,000 bonus. Wow.
That's a lot of reasons.
Thanks to Marcus Lemonis and the Gander Outdoors for their support of the Truck Series. Certainly has made it fun. Certainly for those drivers in those trucks, knowing what's at stake tonight. Christian Eckes on the outside and Ross Chastain on the inside. It's the final stage at Gateway.
Ross gets a great jump on it, right even with Christian.
Boy, drives it hard down in turn 1. Remember, 2 tires on both those trucks, Ross's and Eckes. Comes Grant Enfinger trying to make his way back up towards the front as he gets by the 4 of Todd Gilliland.
The 46 of Chandler Smith right there in the mix as well. Just his second Truck Series start.
Stuart Friesen on the bottom with those 4 tires. He took 4 tires again on the second stop.
Obviously, that sets him up for 2 tires on his final stop, but ooh, what a move by Christian Eckes trying to go back after Ross Chastain for the lead.
Eckes took rights on the first stop, lefts on the most recent stop. Chastain took 4 tires on his first stop and just right sides on the second stop.
I'm sure not going to bet against Rudy Fugle, crew chief on that 51 truck.
Rudy's always got something up his sleeve.
Well, he's been monitoring their lap times. He knows what the trucks with 2 tires did. He knows what the trucks with 4 tires did. He knows what his truck's doing.
Well, like you said, though, we watched Stuart Friesen go nowhere with 4 tires in the beginning.
And how about Harrison Burton making the move on Chastain now for second? So those KBM trucks looking stout. Eckes and Burton running 1-2.
And we watched a little earlier in this race that Harrison actually had a better truck than Christian at that time, so we'll see what he can do. But Ross got to run off that corner and gets under him.
Chastain comes right back to take the spot.
We talk about speeds upwards of 160 miles an hour as Harrison's going to take advantage of Ross getting a little bit loose.
Wow, how about this battle for second? And here comes Infinger to get in the mix. On board with Infinger, great view out the windshield of Burton. And Chastain, as you see, has taken over the second position again.
This will be a good comparison. Remember, Grant Infinger took 4 tires after winning that second stage, already up to the 4th spot.
Clear by 3 to the 2. Nice and smooth. We'll work past these guys.
Talked a lot about tires tonight and the differences they may or may not make. This left side tire the same as what the teams ran at Iowa last year, but a little different compound than what they ran here at Gateway. And the right side, a compound change completely different than they have run on the trucks before.
Yeah, I don't think the trucks have ever been on this right side. It's actually the Cup Series right side from Richmond.
The significance is that the differing tire in regards to how crew chiefs or engineers are trying to dial in their truck.
Well, the difference comes from what you had in your truck last year to what you show up at the racetrack with this year. Different tires do different things, and see Chandler Smith making a great move getting by Matt Crafton to move up another position. The KBM trucks are right up front here.
4 of the top 7 positions under the KBM banner. Kyle's kids doing a nice little job tonight.
They certainly are.
Average age of 17.7. That's pretty good for these kids.
And then there's the old man. Matt Crafton's got some damage on his nose, and that's from earlier in the race.
That's when Ross Chastain threw the block on him as Stuart Friesen gets by the 24 of Moffitt.
Just outside the top 10 is Friesen, running 11th. The 13 of Myatt Snyder, he is currently listed 10th, and he's right there with his teammates, the 99 of Ben Rhodes and the 88 of Matt Crafton.
All 4 four-sport trucks up in the top 10 right now. You see Myatt Snyder right there racing behind his teammate, Matt Crafton. Ben Rhodes right behind him. Stuart Friesen's going to join that battle. Remember, 4 tires again on the 52 of Stuart Friesen.
I tell you what, Myatt is doing a fantastic job. He's driving where the trucks in front of him aren't, so he keeps that air on the nose. And right there, we saw he run the outside, 3 and 4, turn that truck, got a good run underneath Matt. Doesn't look like it's going to pay off here. Yeah, Ben Rhodes got to the outside of him in 1 and 2.
You look at that scoring pylon there on the left-hand side of the screen. The only driver in the top 11 with a win this season is Ross Chastain, and that victory came at Kansas before he had declared truck championship points, so even that one doesn't count. So you look at the top 11, and they're all needing a win to secure a spot in the playoffs.
That's the first truck we've seen pass Grant Infinger in a good while. How about that 2 truck?
Well, Phil, this is a good run, obviously, for the 2, especially after I spoke to the crew chief, Doug Randolph, after our 1 50-minute practice session, and he said, our truck is not very good. We're at least 2 to 3 tenths of a second off, and we need to make some major adjustments. They've done just that, and right now he's up inside the top 5 doing very well. First start here in the truck, but he did win an ARCA race here last year.
Watch Todd Gilliland doing that slide job, made the pass on Grant.
Into the top 5 is Gilliland. We're going to break, but you won't miss a thing. Going to keep on trucking from Gateway.
Still clear by 1 to that 46 truck. Nothing behind him.
Match. We're not giving up much here at all.
You can roll right to your bumper right there. Still right to your bumper. Clear by 2.
Year-old Christian Eckes continues to lead the way. We are in the final stage at Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway, Madison, Illinois, just across the Mississippi from St. Louis. And that 51 truck, in fact, all the Kyle Busch Motorsports trucks have been quite sporty tonight, especially as this race has progressed.
I've been watching Christian, comparing him to Ross Chastain right behind him. I really like what this kid's doing. He's getting in the corners really easy. Not a lot of brake, but boy, does that thing roll the center and back to the throttle, and that's what you got to do here.
I know that the vehicles are quite different, but Eckes did run the ARCA race just before this Truck Series race, ran second in it. Would it play any type of an advantage for Eckes?
I think for sure. I think any lap, especially at 18 years old, any lap that you can have on this racetrack, similar conditions. You mentioned a different type vehicle, different tires, but nonetheless, it's the same racetrack.
Let's not forget last year here, he ran really well in the 46 truck, so he knows how to do it here in the truck also.
And that guy on the right knows how to get it done too.
That's Rudy Fugle. 28 wins in the Truck Series as crew chief for Rudy Fugle, Alan.
And Todd's right. Remember, Christian Eckes led 34 laps here in this very same truck at this race here at Gateway last year. The only thing on the radio, a lot of coaching, and he's listening. He wants to know where the 45 Ross Chastain may be gaining on him. When they tell him, he's not afraid to adjust his line, try to find some more speed. That's what Christian Eckes is doing right now.
Just 5 career starts for Eckes.
I'll tell you, these top three trucks right now are really matched pretty well. Their lap times just about marry each other. You've got the 51 of Eckes and Ross, and then Harrison Burton having another great run in the 18 truck in the third spot. He's less than a second behind.
How about the youth of these drivers here, especially the top 5 with Eckes and Chastain, really the veteran at 26, but Harrison Burton's a teenager. Sheldon Creed at age 21. Todd Gilliland, 19 years old. Some real strong young talent.
How about that 16-year-old that just passed Grant Enfinger?
For sixth, Chandler Smith. Out the front window of Grant Enfinger, and that's Enfinger there on the right-hand side of the screen. Hermie.
The 98, when he was out front in clean air, had one of the best, if not the best, truck on the racetrack. But they put 4 tires on, made an adjustment. But since he got back in traffic in dirty air, the truck is just really, really tight and using a lot of brake. You can see the rotor on the left front glowing as he headed down into the corner. So not the same type of a race truck back in traffic as he was when he was out front.
That dirty air really can make a difference.
It's huge, and that's one issue you have in these trucks is clean air is so big, and even it is in the cars too, but these trucks punch such a big hole in the air that when you're behind somebody, you have zero downforce on the front of these things.
You can see that rotor glowing right there that we were talking about just now. He tried to make the move on the inside of Chandler Smith.
That's a sure sign of a pushing race truck. When you see those rotors glowing like that, the truck, you got to get it slowed down so it will turn through the middle of the corner. Wow. Hear those RPMs come way down before he shifts. He's about stopping in the middle of the corner.
Here we talk about Christian Eckes having that experience running that ARCA Menard Series race earlier tonight. Chandler Smith did the same thing. He had issues early on. He had to go to the garage area, but came back onto the racetrack. But nonetheless, some experience also here today.
Myatt Snyder starting to heat up the backside of that 99 of Ben Rhodes for 8th, and Stuart Friesen is right there as well.
Remember how good Stuart Friesen was at the beginning of this race? He ended up finishing 2nd in that first stage. They put 4 tires on. He was never able to overcome the lack of track position. They put 4 tires again. Same situation. He's mired here back in a 10th spot.
Same thing with Myatt Snyder, Phil. We saw him at the end of the 2nd stage pushing his teammate, trying to get the lead, and he's getting back in the pack and can't get it done. But wow, what a great run around the outside of Ben.
The one crew chief that has elected to put 2 tires on at each of the first 2 stops, rights and then lefts, is the guy who has his truck in front leading the race. He never gave up that track position.
I think we're in our window now that if the caution were to come out, again, we know that we have to have another pit stop here. If our window right now is these guys could stop and make it to the end of the race. So if the caution were to come out, everyone comes to pit road, and I'd be shocked if I see anybody put 4 tires on.
$50 laps remaining. What a great view from the visor of Jordan Anderson.
On the bottom, clear. Still by half to the 13. He ran the middle groove at 3 and 4. Still clear by half. He's running the bottom now, inside quarter. Inside. Still there, even. Still there, even. You got the 6th lapper here in front of you. Just the 6 car in there. Still there, clear, clear, by half to the 13. Still clear by 1 behind him to the 99. the run coming to your bumper. Pushing you. Inside quarter. Inside at your door. Clear behind him. Clear. By 4 over the 99.52 racing together. Nice and smooth. Right back in your rhythm.
The best of the best will be at it. The stars shining brightly as the best in the major leagues celebrate the Midsummer Classic. The Major League Baseball All-Star Game coming your way from Cleveland. July 9th, only on Fox. Any Tigers gonna make the All-Star team, Phil?
Mickey Cabrera's having a pretty good year. He's a pretty solid year. The Tigers aren't doing all that great. We're rebuilding, Vince.
Again?
You're gonna have to ease up on us. Oh, we got a battle for the lead, Vince.
Tighten it up at the top here, boys.
Ross Chastain closing the gap on Christian Eckes. And Harrison Burton is right there as well. If Eckes has to get out of the gas too much, he'll go from first to third.
These trucks are really evenly matched. That last final pit stop is going to be so key to who may. Ooh.
Burton giving a shove to Chastain, and it's going to be enough to get position possibly as they go side by side into the turn.
You get loose down there in the bottom. Harrison was smart, not trying to jump in that gas.
We saw Rossi got a little high in 1 and 2, and that allowed Harrison to get that run off of 2, trying to get up beside him. Ross trying to block it. That's one thing we've been seeing a lot of in these trucks, guys trying to block each other. It's a little dangerous sometimes.
Harrison Burton's got some good momentum, back-to-back top fives, had that strong weekend last weekend at Iowa where he finished third in the truck race and then backed it up with a 4th place run in the Xfinity race. Just get the feeling that he is hitting his stride, just continuing to improve, get better and better. Another strong outing tonight, along with crew chief Mike Hillman Jr., who was on the box for your win here at Gateway, wasn't it?
Yeah,
2006?
Absolutely. Junior knows how to win. We actually together almost won an Xfinity race here at Gateway. So yeah, Mike knows how to get it done here.
I'm just really wondering about this final pit stop. These guys are only about 15 laps away from making a green flag pit stop, and that would be on the outside. I think we may start seeing guys come in as early as maybe 10 laps.
Well, and remember, I mean, regardless of whether it's green flag or under caution, it's the same in regards to the teams working with different pit crews in many instances because of the cup race going on in Sonoma, California. A lot of these crews working with different guys over the wall, but that would particularly play in on under a green flag stop.
Yeah, without a doubt, too. And no penalties, no mistakes on pit road. It's crucial.
Check in with Hermie.
Vince just spoke to Phil Gould, the crew chief of the 45. They did not get completely full of fuel last pit stop. They're looking to stop around lap 135.
We'll keep an eye on that as those laps tick away. See on the right-hand side of the screen, Stuart Friesen trying to move on Grant Enfinger for 8th. Enfinger's led the most laps tonight, 52. But once he lost track position, his truck has not looked nearly as strong as it did when he was out front. And the strength has belonged to the 51 of Christian Eckes. We would anticipate pit stops when we come back to Gateway. Going to take a break, but you won't miss a thing. Going to go side by side.
No, we're not back yet. Got a commission down up here. All clear, up. Deep clear as well. Inside bumper, barely. All clear, back in line by 1.5. back by 3. Move out back by 4. Clear, 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 flop.
You saw it all. Christian Eckes continuing to protect his lead over Ross Chastain here at Gateway. Final laps. In fact, we've got 34 to go. But remember, we have another pit stop coming. These truckers cannot get to the end from here. They've got to stop again. And we anticipate that stop coming at about any time now as you see Chandler Smith work on Todd Gilliland for 5th.
Battle of teammates right there for KBM. Again, I think we're within about 5 laps of pit stops.
Chastain, and now the 88 of Matt Crafton, Alan.
Matt Crafton on pit road right now. He took 4 tires on that last stop. Should be setting him up for a 2-tire stop. A long one, though, on the right side. You saw the adjustment having trouble on the back right tire right there. He's off pit road for a long stop under green.
Yeah, he just can't afford to have any problems. We saw the issue with the right rear tire there for Matt Crafton. That will take him completely out of contention. The same thing will happen to one of our leaders here. It would take them out of contention.
Chastain continues to hound Eckes with Harrison Burton right there in 3rd. Eckes has led the most laps tonight, 54.
I got to tell you, Phil, I'm a little concerned at Rudy's call here, because if this 51 has to take 2 tires under a green flag situation, he's got to take right sides. Well, when you run this many laps on left sides and the left side, left rear gets wore out, you start to lose all your drive up off the corner. And we know what drive off the corner here means. If you don't have it, you're going to get past. And I've noticed the last few laps that this 51's starting to get a little free. And if that's the case, he could be in trouble by the end of this race.
But Fugle has made his bed. He can't change now.
Yeah, without a doubt. You cannot put 4 tires on here and have any chance at all of winning.
Fugle tied for 2nd with Rick Wren. Most wins for a crew chief in the Truck Series all time with 28 apiece. Eric Phillips, the all-time leader, with 37.
Do you think people like Ross Chastain will come in and put left side tires on?
But his left sides have less laps than that 51.
Rudy Fugle put left sides on in the last pit stop.
Yeah, you're right, Phil. Okay. Well, we'll see. I just think fresher tires are going to be better at the end.
For 2nd place, Chastain holding off Burton. Allen on the 4 of Gilliland.
Todd Gilliland, another one of those that took 2 tires just last time on 2 tires on the right side right now. Running around, he's off pit road with 2 tires.
Great side-by-side battle. Maybe a little bit of contact there between Burton and Chastain, fighting for 2nd.
Harrison doing whatever he can to run Ross up the track a little bit, get him out of position.
Christian Eckes, the leader, coming to pit road for his stop. So this is the battle for the lead now, with Chastain holding off Harrison Burton. 28 laps remaining, but they will have to come to pit road and once again get service. Gilliland waiting on Christian Eckes.
Right side tires are the call by crew chief Rudy Fugel for the 51 of Christian Eckes. Remember, each time tonight on pit road, they've taken 2 tires. First rights, then lefts on what should be this final stop. Right side tires for the drivers led the most. Herman.
Here comes the 45 of Ross Chastain. You think these guys are afraid to take a chance? Watch this stop. It'll be fuel only for the 45 of Ross Chastain.
Matt Noyce, or excuse me,
Phil Gould.
Phil Gould.
Rolling the dice.
Gambling.
That should definitely get him in front of the 51, but can he hold him off, and how much did the lap times fall off versus what the 51's going to gain?
Harrison Burton leads, but he's got to come to pit road yet. What do you think, Phil? No tires
Coming
for
off pit road
Chastain?
here. Carry all the speed you can.
I want to see where they come
all the
out
way to the bottom here. Pit this time, pit this time. As much speed as you can carry on apron here.
That's the radio to 18, Burton. Grant Enfinger on pit road, Herman.
All the way off 4 here, all the way to the line.
Lost their track position. Truck got very, very tight. 2 tires and fuel for Enfinger.
All yellows, all yellows.
Of course, everybody's going to take 2 now. Nobody's going to come to pit road and put on 4. Harrison Burton has come to pit road, relinquishing the lead.
5, 4,
Stuart Friesen is right
2,
behind
1.
him.
Left side.
2 left side tires for Harrison Burton in the 18 truck. Remember, in the last pit stop, they took 2 right side tires. This time, 2 lefts. Harrison Burton is off pit road.
All yellows, all yellows, all yellows.
Side-by-side battle now between Myatt Snyder and Eckes. Banging doors.
Be clear all the way, clear all the way, clear all the way.
2 of the fastest trucks
2 to
all
4,
night
Alpha 2
long.
now.
Look at that white truck in front of them. That was Ross Chastain with that fuel-only call. They got to track position
And
over the 51.
And he's loving watching these guys in the mirror racing each other. Phil Gould, that was probably the smartest thing I've seen done tonight. We're all talking about 2 tires and 4 tires, and he says the heck with it. I'm taking no tires and getting out in front.
It might just win him a race.
I was going to say, smart. It looks smart right now because he has that position. We'll see how it plays out over the final 23 laps. Will that no tire call hold off the 2 tires?
Well, we watched Ross get up behind him. Every time he did, he got pushing. So now he's behind nobody. He's got clean air, and I guarantee that thing's picked up speed.
Austin Hill.
Still 3 back to the 2, then the 4.
Benjamin
Get your
have
mark.
to come to pit road yet.
Somebody got in the dirt. There's dirt all over the racetrack now. You see it, guys?
Yep.
Right side of your screen.
Somebody got coming off a pit road. It's really difficult there. We have an access road that you go on and off a pit road, and you try to push it as hard as you can, and somebody pushed a little too hard.
So with Hill and Benjamin having to come to pit road for all purposes, really the 45 of Chastain is your leader.
Right now, Ross Chastain, the battle for the lead, once the pit stops will cycle, should be Ross Chastain and the 51 of Christian Eckes, and they're separated right now by about 2 seconds.
So there's the difference between Eckes and Chastain. And when Benjamin and Hill come to pit road, that will be the battle for the lead.
See if he's gained on him.
Count to 2, 3, and 4. Bit more speed center.
Eckes was about a 0.5 of a second faster than Chastain that lap. We'll keep watching the differential.
Strategy play by Phil Gould. No tires on the final stop for Ross Chastain, and there is Chastain with the advantage. Gander Outdoors, 20 to go at Gateway.
You know, Phil, we see this all the time. Crew chiefs are watching their trucks behind other guys, and they just can't do anything with it. And let's do something different. Let's put ourselves out of the box and try to get that track position. And this is a gamble I've never seen. This is incredible. See him get out front like this.
Yeah, that last lap, Eckes was another half a tenth faster. I don't think a half a tenth a lap is going to be enough. He's going to need to clip off 2-3 tenths. He just hasn't done it yet.
How nervous Phil Gould must be. Feels like he's won 2 races this season. He's only been given credit for 1, although the team didn't take off that winner sticker off the truck after last week's race, despite being DQ'd at Iowa.
Eckes gained a half a second that lap. Probably a little bit of traffic for Chastain as we see a great battle for the 4th spot. Stuart Friesen, the 52, grabbing 4th.
Ross Chastain continues to hold on, but can he keep that advantage to the end? Taking a break, coming back.
Clear. He's at the line now. Last time, not distance, please. Copy that. Clear. Caution forward is clear.
The dynamics of this race have just changed as Harrison Burton and Sheldon Creed have contact, and Burton gets into the wall and some significant right side damage, bringing out the caution.
Yeah, now we're going to have a restart here. And you can't afford to come to pit road. You're Christian Eckes, Ross Chastain, everybody running up front. You're not going to give up track position. What a tough break for Harrison Burton. Had such a great, solid run going for the 3rd week in a row.
And it's just battling for position. I mean, just hard racing between, actually his teammate Todd Gilliland had been right in the mix during that sequence as well, but it was Creed and Burton that ended up having contact. And really what that does is tighten things up at the front of the field where Ross Chastain was trying to hold off Christian Eckes for the lead. So we're going to have a restart that just may determine the outcome of this one. Here's what brought out the yellow.
And we see Harrison, he got in a little wide, and Sheldon was right down on him, got a little loose, they got together.
Then Sheldon got into his right rear quarter panel, and that actually
turned him up.
Actually straightened his truck out, but unfortunately Sheldon was there. See his truck now actually go to the right after that contact into the right rear quarter panel. Meanwhile, the 46 of Chandler Smith said, if you guys are going to be racing like that, I'm just going to go on by you.
Well, and Todd Gilliland had just gotten past that group. Gilliland inside the top 5 right now, but this sets us up for a restart at the front where Christian Eckes and Ross Chastain, who have been really the two that we thought this one was going to come right down to after that last round of pit stops, because Chastain tried a gas-only stop while Eckes took just 2. As you see Burton coming to pit road, and here's one more look at that incident.
Harrison actually had his truck straight and going the right direction until Sheldon turned down into his right rear quarter
He may
panel.
have been fighting a loose condition too, which would turn that nose down to the
very
inside.
Possible.
Tough break for Burton, who had back-to-back top 5 finishes.
Tough break for Chastain. I mean, that's who you got to feel for. No tires against Christian's 2 tires, and Friesen had. I mean, he's a sitting duck right now.
Well, let's find out. Talk to the crew chiefs, guys.
I'm on top of the box of the 51 with crew chief Rudy Fugel. You've got 2 tires. You're chasing a truck that has no tires. How valuable will that be for you?
Yeah, I mean, under green, it was awesome. We were catching them, and I think we were going to make way when we needed to. But we're on the wrong restart lane here, so we're going to have to make something special happen when we get in turn 1. So even if we can get out of turn 1 in second, I think we'll go back to work and be fine. It's just he's doing a really good job. We just need a shot. We need to exit turn 2 in first or second and go to work. You know, Series X700 has been really good. Christian's doing an excellent job, and we'll see what we can do.
That's the plan in the 51, Hermie.
We're back on the box with Phil Gould. You guys made a call to get yourself out front. Now you got a caution, and you just told him on the radio we've kind of made our bed with our tire situation. So what kind of advice can you give your driver with this very important restart coming up?
Yeah, I mean, Ross is obviously one of the best on restarts. We didn't really see a lot of fall off over the course of the run. That's why we opted to just put enough gas to get to the end. And hopefully with the cooling off under caution, they'll fire back off and we'll be okay here.
And these guys, all in the driver's hands from here on in.
And I think that's a good point that Phil Gould made. After these tires cool off, that will equalize that difference a little bit between the new right side tires on Christian Eckes' truck and the no tires on Ross Chastain's truck.
Yeah, the cool tires will definitely help Phil for 3 or 4 laps maybe.
That may be all we get,
and
Todd.
that's all he's going to have to deal with, so it might work out.
Hey, if Ross Chastain would happen to win this race, he's going to jump inside the top 8 and guarantee himself a playoff spot, and that's going to move that red line above the name of Harrison Burton, and that would put Burton and Creed and Gilliland and Dipple all behind and on the outside looking into the playoff spot, and then that would put Ben Rhodes on the playoff bubble.
Yeah, that will happen eventually, but Ross is so far behind, he will not jump into the top 20, so he technically will
He's got to be top 20
he's gotta
in
be
points
20. He
as
won't
well.
do that this week. He'll probably do it within the next couple weeks if he can finish this thing off with a good finish.
They've got to not only have that win, but also be top 20 in points. And Chastain came into this race tonight 69 points outside the 20th position. So over these final 5 races after tonight, 5 more regular season races, getting into the top 20 should not be a problem for Chastain. He just needs that win, and that's right there dangling in front of him tonight.
Look who is quietly snuck in the 3rd position there.
Yeah,
How
Stuart
about
Friesen.
that? We haven't talked about Stewie for quite a few laps. He was mired back in the pack with them 4 tires 2 times in a row, and he come back up here and got in a 3rd. He's going to have something to say about this.
And Rudy Fugel was talking about being in the wrong spot on the restart.
Of course, having fun tonight, and next week, more of the same at Chicagoland Speedway, just outside the Windy City. Looking forward to it. The 1.5 miles and the racing always spectacular, and maybe an occasional temper or 2 as well, and maybe you've been driving into the city for a nice dinner. It's next Friday night. Join us. But we've got some work to finish up here first at Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway. It's Ross Chastain and Christian Eckes restarting on the front row, and Rudy Fugel said something very interesting. the restart lane. Why is it so valuable as to which lane you're restarting?
I think it's obvious they're going to pick the outside line here, and you get that such a good run off of turn number 2, and I think Rudy realizes that Ross Chastain is going to take that outside line. That's why he said if we can just emerge off of turn 2 and second, I think we'll be in pretty good shape. But the laps are winding down here. We are not getting the 1 to go, so we will come back by at best and get 1 to go the next time. That means we'll have 7 laps once we restart this race.
Yeah, they had another track vehicle on the track blowing off some debris from this 1.25-mile oval. Hey, believe it or not, already talking about the Daytona 500, the 62nd annual, the Great American Race, President's Day weekend, Sunday, February 16th, 2020. Daytona 500 tickets available. 1-800-PIT-SHOP or Daytona500.com.
We talk about that lane, Phil. The reason for that is that outside lane, especially in 1 and 2, gets so much more momentum. And if Ross can hold the 51 down on the bottom, you know, that's going to really pinch him off. Look at the back end of Ross's truck. It's covered with rear end grease or transmission grease. It's hopefully that thing will make it the rest of the way. But we see that a lot. You know, rear end grease, rear end gasket will leak, or maybe a little fitting leak or something, but that's still not a good thing to see.
We're hearing that we're going to get 1 to go. That will mean we'll restart again with 7 laps to go. Restart is going to be so critical if Ross Chastain can cleanly get that lead on this restart.
Well, there will be the green flag next time by, giving the drivers the 1 to go sign. So Eckes is going to start on the inside, and you heard his crew chief Rudy Fugle say that's not the preferred line. So the big battle is going to be, can Eckes make it to turn 2 still in that second place position? And if so, Rudy liked his driver's chances, but Todd Gilliland there on the outside, he wants that second place position because he wants to be the one chasing down Chastain for the win.
Yeah, exactly right. And even though they're teammates, I think right now the teammate thing is out the window here. It's time to go for a win. Todd Gilliland could get it. We see him now below the cut line. If he can get that truck into victory lane, then he's above the cut line. We don't have to talk about anymore whether he makes the playoffs.
Remember, Gilliland finished second here last year, and there's no driver whose seat has been any hotter than Todd Gilliland, and what a win would mean to him today.
And there has been no driver who is more hungry than that guy in third place with all those second place finishes. Stewie would love to be able to get a run on these guys and go by them. It's going to be interesting.
Can we get to the end of this race without another caution flag, guys?
The pace car pulls off, and when they take the green, there will be 7 to go. There's a lot of drivers in that group looking for their first career win, and oh, how important it would be. The green is out, racing to the finish at Gateway.
Ross spun his tires really bad there. Christian really loose around the bottom of the racetrack. Ross got that run, just like I said.
He's got that second spot, though, that Rudy was hoping for.
Chastain with the lead, but then a couple of KBM trucks right behind him. Christian Eckes and Todd Gilliland. The final 7 laps here at Gateway. Chastain trying to win a race, redemption from a week ago, and secure that spot in the playoffs. But Eckes' truck has been the best down the stretch. Does he have enough to get past Chastain?
Ross is going to make that truck really wide if they get a run on him.
What a great run through 1 and 2 Ross had. I watched him that last lap off of 4, got a little loose on that outside, so he not getting the forward drive right there he needed.
Remember, Chastain, gas only. Eckes took the 2 tires. They had gapped third place Todd Gilliland a little bit, but now Gilliland has closed back up, and he's brought company with him in the form of Stuart Friesen.
How smart Christian Eckes right there. Had that truck about a half a truck below Ross to keep some clean air on the front of it. That's really smart by that young man.
Doing the same thing right there, Todd.
Yes, sir. That's impressive right there.
Ross Chastain just ran his fastest lap of the race this last lap.
Chastain trying to hold off Eckes. Christian Eckes, just his 6th career start.
I said about 4 laps that Ross could have to just cooled off tires, and we had 7, so see if he can hold them.
We got 4 to go right now.
What Chastain would love more than anything maybe is for Todd Gilliland to get up there and challenge Eckes. And if Gilliland and Eckes were battling for position, that would give Chastain a little more breathing room. But right now, Eckes has gapped Gilliland by a truck length or two. Now Gilliland closes it up.
If Ross can keep Christian in his wake, right behind him, I don't know that he's going to be able to do anything with him.
3 laps remaining at Gateway as Ross Chastain tries to hold off the Kyle Busch Motorsports duo.
Well, what kind of redemption would it be here for Ross Chastain if he can take that truck to victory lane?
Crew chief Phil Gould gambled when everybody else came and took 2 tires. Gould called for gas only to get that track position for his driver, Ross Chastain. And there are 2 laps remaining, and Chastain continues to lead.
Stuart Friesen working hard on that 4 right behind this group. It's all out the front windshield for Ross. Don't even pay attention behind him.
3rd and 4th, Gilliland and Friesen, but the race is right here as Gilliland now starts to come up inside of Eckes.
Watch that 51 got up behind Ross.
Lap remaining, just what Chastain needed. He needed Gilliland to come up and delay Eckes and take the position, and he's done it. And now Friesen into the back end of Eckes is going to spin Christian Eckes. The final lap of the race, and it's still green. Ross Chastain is going to come around. Racing redemption at his hands. The wheel for Ross Chastain is still and perfect, and he has done it. Winning at Gateway.
Nice job.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Al. Yes, guys. Good job.
Unbelievable.
If there was any doubters about this race team, they have put them to bed now. What a group. Phil Gould making that call, no tires. Come on. Do you know how hard it is to make that call as a crew chief? I give him all the credit in the world.
Hermie is with the crew chief, Phil Gould. Wow, Hermie.
Phil's been on TV more than I have tonight, but have fun. You can make gutsy calls when you got a gutsy driver like Ross Chastain. Can you believe that you guys pulled this one off tonight?
I mean, I can't believe it, but I can, man. This is a tough bunch. This has been a tough week for this team and everybody involved. And to come back and battle back for that anniversary, that's pretty damn awesome.
How good really does this feel after everything that you, Ross, this team, Al Neese, everybody, the deck has been stacked against you guys. So how does this feel for you?
I can't even explain it, man. It's really awesome. I got to thank Al for sticking with us. Everybody supported us all year long, and these guys and girls on this team, they work so hard and allow us to go out and compete like we do.
Phil Gould makes the call of the year on the pit box, and Ross Chastain holds them off, Vince.
$50,000 call for Phil Gould. The Triple Truck Challenge, the final edition, goes to Nice Motorsports as Ross Chastain wins at Gateway.
It is amazing, though, the transformation of this team from last year to this year. Phil Gould's part of that, Ross Chastain part of that, and certainly Al Neese for making it happen.
Well, Phil, we see in every sport it's about people, and Al Neese has put some great people underneath this truck.
Maybe the call of his lifetime. Phil Gould helps his driver, Ross Chastain, to victory. A night worthy of a celebration. Plenty of fireworks on track this evening as Ross Chastain wins at Gateway. Hermie Sadler in victory lane with the winner.
Well, here he is, Ross Chastain and his team. Does it again. Back to back. Another bad day for Watermelon, maybe. Gallagher, here we go. Right here, baby.
Yes! Oh!
Ross, this is beer this time. Beer and watermelon. I've been around a long time. I have never seen anything quite like what you and this race team have been through and pulled off the last couple of weeks. What can you say about this team and what you guys have accomplished, especially after the week you had?
I got one thing, Armin. Come bring this camera right here, baby. The low rider! Yeah! Man, I gotta tell you, Carver Ties came on Wednesday. They supported me 2 years ago, 3 years ago. They came back on board. These guys went home, and we were mad. Felt like we had one taken from us. Holy cow, Phil Gould, Lonnie Rush, they believed in me. I didn't want to take tires. And then it was up to me to freaking hold them off. I don't know how, but oh, I'm going to take that money home, and they're not taking it from us this time.
Well, here it is, another $50,000 on behalf of Gander Outdoors and NASCAR. 50 grand. Were you concerned when that last caution came out because you had a little bit of gap and then you had to re-rack them and do it all over again?
Of course, scared to death. That's the last thing I wanted to see. Buzzed my tires like crazy on the restart. I thank Todd for the Ford truck for pushing me and not wrecking me. Other guys earlier, when you fade the block, they try to wreck you. So it's old yellow truck that's known for that. So other than that, man, execution on these guys' parts. We didn't have the fastest truck today, but we executed and we believed in each other. Man, that feels really good.
This team, Vince, will not be denied.
What a story. And remember, they've got to pass tech. I mean, they won last week. We had this celebration, and they didn't pass tech. Got to do it again. You got to go through the official technical inspection at the end. And we'll keep our fingers crossed for Ross Chastain and that team that they will indeed get through successfully as you look at the winners this season. What a night for Nice Motorsports. Winners at Gateway.